Most people don't realize how much of their life is shaped by one quiet instinct. The instinct to stay safe. Not physically safe, but psychologically safe. We cling to routines, familiar environments, predictable relationships, and identities we already understand. We tell ourselves we're being responsible, but often we're just being afraid. There's a moment in everyone's life when they feel stuck. Not because they lack talent or opportunity or intelligence, but because they've built their entire world inside a space that feels comfortable. And comfort, when repeated long enough, becomes a trap. Psychologists call this the safety bias. Our brain is designed to avoid anything uncertain, anything unpredictable, anything that might challenge who we think we are. So we stay where we feel in control. We stay where we don't have to risk embarrassment, failure, or rejection. But here's the truth we rarely admit. The more we avoid discomfort, the more discomfort controls our life. Avoiding challenges makes us more fragile. Avoiding risk makes us more fearful. Avoiding uncertainty makes our world smaller and smaller. Think about the moments you're proud of. None of them came from staying safe. They came from stepping into a space where you didn't feel ready. A new job, a new skill, a difficult conversation, a bold decision. Growth never came from safety. It came from the unknown. Yet we keep searching for a life where nothing threatens us. A life where everything is predictable. A life where we never feel fear. But that life doesn't exist. And even if it did, it wouldn't make us happy. It would make us numb. The truth is simple. A safe life is not a meaningful life. If we want to break free from the safe spaces we've built, we need to understand what safety really means. Most people think safety is the absence of discomfort. But real safety is the presence of growth. Because when you grow, you become stronger. When you grow, you become more capable. When you grow, you become someone who can handle uncertainty instead of hiding from it. There's a powerful idea in psychology called expansion through exposure. It means that every time you step into something unfamiliar, even something small, your mind expands. Your confidence expands. Your world expands. You don't need to take a giant leap. You just need to take one step outside the space that feels safe. Ask yourself 3 questions. What am I avoiding because it scares me? That fear is pointing directly at your next level. What is the cost of staying where I am? Comfort always has a price, usually regret. What small step can I take today that feels uncomfortable but not overwhelming? Courage grows one step at a time. When you start living this way, something shifts. You stop seeing discomfort as a threat. You start seeing it as a signal, a sign that you're moving towards something meaningful. And slowly, the world becomes bigger. Your identity becomes stronger. Your life becomes yours again. So stop searching for a perfectly safe space. Stop waiting for the moment when you feel ready. Stop building a life designed only to protect your fears. Because the world doesn't need a safer version of you. The world needs a braver version of you. The version that steps forward even when the path is uncertain. And that version of you is waiting, just outside your comfort zone.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something many of us feel but rarely say out loud. It is the idea that we should stop living as if success is the only measure of a good life. Because when we chase success too hard, we often lose the most important thing we have ourselves. We live in a world that celebrates speed, pressure, and constant achievement. People say, work harder, move faster, do more. And if you slow down, even for a moment, it feels like you're falling behind. But let me ask you something. Behind what? Behind who? And why does it matter so much? For years, I believed that success was everything. I thought that if I pushed myself harder than everyone else, I would finally feel proud, secure, and fulfilled. But the truth is, the harder I chased success, the more I felt like a stranger to myself. Let me share a story. A friend of mine once had what many people would call a perfect life. A high-paying job, a fancy apartment, a busy schedule full of important meetings. People admired him. They said he was going places. But one day, he told me something shocking. He said, "I don't know who I am anymore. I've been running so fast that I forgot why I started." He wasn't burned out because he worked hard. He was burned out because he worked without meaning. He was chasing a version of success that wasn't even his. And that's the danger. When we run too fast, we don't just get tired, we disappear. Success is not the same as fulfillment. Success is loud. It's shiny. It gets attention. Fulfillment is quiet. It's personal. It's something only you can feel. You can be successful on the outside and empty on the inside. You can have everything people admire and still feel lost. So ask yourself, is the life you're building actually the life you want? Or is it the life you think you're supposed to want? Rest is not weakness. It is wisdom. We are taught that rest is something you earn, that you must push yourself to the limit before you're allowed to breathe. But rest is not a reward. Rest is fuel. Rest is clarity. Rest is the moment when you hear your own voice again. Some of the most important decisions in life come from quiet moments. Not from stress, not from pressure, not from fear of falling behind. When you slow down, you don't lose progress. You gain perspective. Your worth is not measured by your productivity. You are not a machine. You are not a checklist. You are not a number on a performance review. You are a human being with dreams, fears, memories, and a heart that needs space to breathe. But society often tells us the opposite. It says, you are what you achieve. But that is a lie. You are not valuable because you are useful. You are valuable because you exist. Success without self is failure in disguise. Imagine reaching the top of the mountain only to realize you climbed the wrong one. Imagine winning the race only to realize you lost yourself along the way. That is what happens when we chase success blindly. We forget our values. We forget our joy. We forget the people we love. We forget the person we used to be. True success is not about being better than others. It's about being true to yourself. Slow down enough to hear your own life. Life is not meant to be a constant sprint. It is meant to be lived, felt, and experienced. Take a walk without checking your phone. Have a conversation without rushing. Do something simply because it brings you joy, not because it improves your resume. These small moments are not distractions. They are the real thing. Now, let me ask you something important. If you stop chasing success for a moment, what would you notice? Would you notice your own needs? Your own dreams? Your own voice? Would you realize that you've been running so fast that you forgot to enjoy the journey? We only get one life. And it is far too precious to spend it trying to meet someone else's definition of success. So today, I want to leave you with this message. Don't run so hard that you lose yourself. Don't chase success so blindly that you forget to live. Success is not the goal. You are. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something we all know, but often forget. Something simple, yet powerful. It is this: we only get one life. Just one. And because of that, we should live in a way that leaves as few regrets as possible. When we hear this idea, it sounds obvious. Of course, we only live once. But if we look at how we actually live, how we spend our days, how we make decisions, we often act as if we will get another chance, another version of life, another opportunity to try again. But we won't. Let me start with a story. A few years ago, I met an older man at a small cafe. He was sitting alone, looking out the window with a quiet smile. We started talking, and he told me something I will never forget. He said, "When you get to my age, you don't regret the things you tried. You regret the things you were too scared to try." He wasn't talking about big achievements. He wasn't talking about money or fame. He was talking about simple things. Telling someone he loved them, taking a trip he always dreamed of, spending more time with his family, choosing joy over fear. His words stayed with me because they were so honest. And they made me ask myself, what am I avoiding because I think I have more time? Many of us live like this. We wait. We postpone. We say, someday I'll do it. But someday is not a real day on the calendar. We think we are being careful. We think we are being responsible. But sometimes we are simply being afraid. So today, I want to share 3 ideas that can help us live a life with fewer regrets. Not a perfect life, not a fearless life, but a life that feels real, honest, and fully ours. Choose courage over comfort. Most regrets come from moments when we stayed silent, stayed still, or stayed safe. We didn't speak up. We didn't take the chance. We didn't follow the dream. Courage doesn't mean doing something dramatic. It can be small. It can be quiet. It can be as simple as saying, "This is what I want," or "This is who I am." Every time we choose courage, even in a small way, we expand our life. We make it bigger. We make it ours. Spend your time like it matters, because it does. Time is the most valuable thing we have, yet we treat it like it's endless. We waste days worrying about things that don't matter. We spend years trying to please people who don't care. We give our energy to things that don't bring us joy or meaning. Imagine if you treated your time the same way you treat your money. You would invest it wisely. You would protect it. You would spend it on things that matter. Ask yourself, who deserves my time? What deserves my energy? What makes my life feel alive? Your answers to those questions will shape your future more than any plan or goal. Love deeply, even if it scares you. At the end of life, people don't talk about their jobs or their achievements. They talk about people. They talk about love. They talk about moments of connection. But love requires vulnerability. It requires us to open our hearts, even when we fear being hurt. It requires us to show up, even when we feel imperfect. Yes, love can bring pain. But a life without love brings something worse: emptiness. If you want a life with fewer regrets, love boldly. Tell people what they mean to you. Show up for them. Let them show up for you. Now let me ask you something important. If your life ended today, what would you regret? Would it be something you did? Or something you didn't do? A dream you never chased? A person you never called? A truth you never spoke? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Because they remind us that life is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing. And here's the beautiful part. It's not too late. No matter your age, your past, or your mistakes, you can still choose a life with fewer regrets. You can choose courage. You can choose presence. You can choose love. You can choose to live in a way that feels true to who you are. You don't need to change everything. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to take one small step toward the life you want. One honest conversation. One brave decision. One moment of kindness. One act of self-respect. These small choices, repeated over time, create a life you can be proud of. So today, I want to leave you with this message. You only get one life. Make it a story worth telling. Make it a life you can look back on without regret. Not a perfect life, but a courageous one. A loving one. A real one. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about an idea that sounds simple, but is surprisingly hard to practice. It is the idea that we should stop chasing a vague idea of happiness and start living fully in the reality we have right now. For most of my life, I believed happiness was something waiting for me in the future. I thought, if I work harder, if I earn more, if I fix this one problem, then I'll finally be happy. Maybe you've felt the same way. We imagine happiness as a destination, a place we will arrive at someday, when everything is perfect. But here's the truth. That perfect moment almost never comes. And even when it does, it doesn't last. Let me share a small story. A friend of mine once told me, "I'll be happy when I get my dream job." She worked day and night, sacrificed weekends, skipped vacations, and finally got the job she wanted. For 1 week, she was thrilled. But soon after, she said, "I think I'll be happy when I get promoted. And later, maybe I'll be happy when I move to a bigger city." Her happiness kept moving further away, like a horizon she could never reach. This is what happens when we treat happiness as a goal. It becomes a moving target. No matter how fast we run, it stays just out of reach. So let me offer a different idea. Happiness is not a goal. It is a side effect. A side effect of living with attention, with presence, and with gratitude for what is real right now. Think about it. When were you last truly happy? Not excited, not entertained, but genuinely at peace. Maybe it was a quiet moment with someone you care about. Maybe it was a walk outside, or a simple meal, or a conversation that made you feel understood. Those moments were not part of a grand plan. They were not achievements. They were just life, and you were present enough to feel them. But many of us miss these moments because we are too busy chasing something else. We say, I'll enjoy life later. But later is never guaranteed. Let me ask you something. What if the life you have right now is not a waiting room? What if this ordinary, imperfect, sometimes messy life is the real thing? When we stop chasing a vague idea of happiness, something amazing happens. We start noticing the small details. We start appreciating the people around us. We start feeling grounded, instead of constantly reaching for something far away. Living in the present does not mean giving up ambition. It does not mean we stop dreaming or stop improving ourselves. It simply means we don't postpone our lives until everything is perfect. Because perfection is not where happiness lives. Presence is. Let me share 3 simple practices that help us live more fully in the moment. 1. Pay attention to what is real, not what is ideal. When you feel stressed or lost, ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? Not what you fear, not what you imagine, but what is real. Reality is often kinder than our imagination. 2. Celebrate small progress. We often wait for big achievements to feel proud. But life is made of small steps. If you moved forward even a little today, that matters. 3. Allow yourself to feel grateful, even for simple things. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in difficult times, there are moments worth holding on to. When we practice these things, something shifts. We stop living in the future, and we start living in the only place where life actually happens, the present. So today, I want to leave you with one message. Don't chase happiness. Build a life where happiness can naturally appear. Not someday, not after everything is fixed, but here, now, in the reality you already have. Thank you